at the platform NG, you probably see 3 live sessions going on. You see the platform 35.0, you see the platform 35.1, and 35.2, all live. Just copy the links, post them on your WhatsApp, and so that people can hear. As we're listening, we know that the more people that get it, the better and the farther that we will go. So please, let's share the message. Without further ado, let me just bring up our next speaker, who's the final speaker at this particular summit, where we're talking about entrepreneurship and building a business from scratch. He is not speaking for the first time, so it's truly an honor to have him once again at the platform. And so quick secret. His session last year, the last time he was here, was so powerful. I just kept on seeing the views go. The views just kept on increasing because it was very practical. And so it's an honor to have him here once again. He's no one else but Mr. or Dr. Gabriel Ogbeche. Mr. Dr. Gabriel Ogbeche, OON, is the founder and group managing director of Rain Oil Limited, a leading energy company in Nigeria. He has over 30 years of sales, marketing, and operations experience within the oil and gas space. Dr. Ogbeche founded Rain Oil Limited in 1997 and has overseen the growth of the group's business operations across the entire downstream value chain, including investments in agriculture and real estate. Today, Rain Oil Group has strategic assets including 3 ultra-modern petroleum product storage depots, over 25 LPG retail outlets, 170 plus retail petrol stations, a fleet of over 300 petroleum product tank trucks, and a staff strength of over 2,000 employees. He's an alumnus of the Harvard Business School's 57th Owner-President Management Program and a pioneer member of the Lagos Business School Owner Management Program. Dr. Ogbeche is the chairman of Eterna PLC and a non-executive director at Globus Bank. He sits on the board of several companies operating in the agro-allied and real estate sectors. Dr. Gabriel was conferred with the Officer of the Order of the Niger OON in 2022, and he's also the recipient of several other awards internationally. Please welcome to the platform once again, Dr. Gabriel Ogbeche.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, the Covenant Nation. Again, I want to thank Pastor Poju Imade and the entire team of the Covenant Nation for once more finding me worthy to come back to this great platform to come and talk to these very distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I must complain that it's a very tough call to be made to talk after very powerful speakers like somebody like Julian, who just spoke to us. I hope I can keep the momentum going. Thank you very much for that great session. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Lord, I thank you. I commit this session into your hands. Help me. I thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. My name is Gabriel Ogbeche. I'm the Group Managing Director of Rain Oil Limited. Rain Oil Limited is a company that plays in the downstream space of the Nigeria oil and gas industry. Today, I will be talking on the topic entrepreneurship. Building a business from scratch. Entrepreneurship, building a business from scratch. Rain Oil is your classic case of building a business from the scratch. I started Rain Oil 1997, essentially from the scratch, building something out of nothing. Today we'll look at the topic from two broad outlines. The first, I want to talk about what are the motivations for starting a business. What are those things that motivate us to start our own businesses? Then, of course, we'll now look at the strategies for building a business from the scratch. What are the things that motivate us to start our own businesses? The first thing I want to talk about is the desire to be your own boss. A lot of people just want to be their own boss. They don't want to take instructions from anyone. They want to be the person who calls the shots. So they go out there to start their own businesses. The second thing I want to talk about is the economy. At times, the economy just thrusts entrepreneurship on you. I remember in the year 2004, when we had the first set of banking consolidation, Nigeria had about 128 banks then, and they asked the banks to move their capital from 2 billion to 25 billion. That process shrank the banking industry from about 125 banks to just about 24 banks. Within a year and a half, a lot of bank MDs, a lot of executive directors, general managers in the financial institutions suddenly found themselves out of job. A lot of them picked up their briefcases and started their own businesses. They didn't plan for it, but the economy trusts entrepreneurship on them. The next thing is financial independence. If you want to be financially independent, the best thing to do is start your own business. Those who are in paid employment, you see, no matter how great the job you have a great job, they are paying you 120 million naira per annum, which is 10 million naira a month. That's a great job, right? But the truth is, your salary is 10 million naira a month. The day they pay you 10 million and 5,000 naira in a month, somebody will say you have been overpaid. Because your salary is a finite sum. It's a finite sum. But for the business people, your income is unbounded. We say in mathematics, your income can go from 0 to infinity. There is nothing like too much money. You know, you see a businessman this year, he makes a profit of 100 billion naira, and then the next year he's planning how to make it 200 billion naira. Because there is nothing like too much money. So if you want to be financially independent, your best bet is start your own business. Then the next one is freedom from 8 to 5 lifestyle, work style rather. You know, a lot of people are just not wired to go to an office at 8 o'clock and have to close at 5 o'clock. They want that flexibility of being able to choose when they work and how they work. So people like that also start their own business. Then of course, people want to follow their passion. There are people who have passion for food, who have passion for cooking, and then they leave their job to go follow their passion. Now, what are the strategies for building a business from the scratch? Number one, identify a viable business idea. Identify a viable business idea. Think clearly about your life goals. Why do I want to become an entrepreneur? What vision do I have for my business? Define the essence of your business in exact terms. What exactly do I want to do? Research and evaluate your business idea, understand your sector and your industry, and then develop a business plan and calculate your costs. Identify a viable business idea. You see, there is money in this country. There is money. I look at a city like Lagos, there are 20 million people in Lagos. So just imagine that everybody in Lagos spends just an average of 500 naira on food a day. 500 naira. If 20 million people spend 500 naira on food every day, they spend 10 billion naira every day on food alone. 300 billion naira is spent every month in this city alone just on food. Now, what that tells you is that when you wake up in your house every morning money actually begins to flow through the streets of Lagos. Wherever you live, money is flowing through the front of your house. All you need to do is come out of your house and plug into it. Just do something. Be part of the economic cycle. Do something. Some years ago, I had this classmate in secondary school, Godwin Umokoli. I had not seen him for a very long time. So I went looking for him somewhere in Suleja. So while trying to locate his house, in one untarred road, just trying to locate the house, my eyes caught a lady in a lonely road. She just had her setup. She was selling roasted plantain. She just caught my attention, and I said, Gabriel, you know what? This woman is doing something. It doesn't matter if her entire wares, which I calculated mentally to be like 10,000 naira, she was doing something. If the entire food market of Suleja is 100 million naira per day, that 100 million naira is not complete without her 10,000 naira. She is part of the economic cycle. You know, I see a lot of people, they have grand dreams. You want to have a swanky 5-star restaurant somewhere. That may be the vision, but that doesn't have to be the starting point. You have to identify your starting point. The route to that 5-star swanky restaurant on the high streets of Lagos may just start from going to sell boiled rice to one construction site somewhere where you have 50 people every day looking for food to eat. Do something. What did I say? Do something. Sorry, I need help. My tab here has frozen. The next thing is evaluate route. Can somebody come help me fix this tab? Evaluate your funding source. How do you raise money? How do you raise money to start a business? How do you raise money? The first thing I want to talk about is savings. The first and best way to raise money to start a business is through your personal savings. What do I call it? Personal savings. When I ask people what's the difference between 100,000 naira and 80,000 naira, everybody will tell me it's 20,000 naira. That's fine. The next thing is, the man who earns 100,000 naira at the end of the month, he's broke, naturally. The man who also earns 80,000 naira, at the end of the month, he's broke, but he's not dead. Am I correct? Now, the next question is, if the man who earns 80,000 naira, at the end of the month, he's broke, but he's not dead, how come the man who earns 100,000 naira cannot save 20,000 naira? You know why? It's consumption pattern. One lady is carrying a bag. They say it's a Gucci bag. It's 100,000. Another one is carrying a bag. They say it's give it one swanky name. They say it's 150,000. What is the difference? They are all bags. Now listen. If you earn 100,000 naira and you cannot save 20,000, if you earn 500,000 naira, you cannot save 50,000. Because as your income expands, so does your taste expand to match your income. You know, there's what I call the mango principle. God is wonderful. God in creation, in creating the fruit, if you take a mango fruit, you eat it, you eat it, you eat it, you eat it until you get to a point. What do you see inside? Is the seed. What are you supposed to do with the seed? Now, if you consciously plant the seed, or you even throw the seed away unconsciously, and it falls somewhere and abides there, you know what happens? The seed germinates to give you a mango tree that gives you fruit in perpetuity. You are not supposed to consume your fruit and your seed. Too many people are eating both their fruit and their seed. You need to save. I will give you some examples. I need to throw up some slides. You know, in my early days, I want us to look at this receipt very carefully. Look at this slide very carefully. This slide is dated 27th of June, 1996. It's in favor of Equator Finance and Securities Limited. It's an official receipt in the name of Mr. Gabriel Obeche and myself, and it's a receipt for 500 naira. I invested 500 naira to buy stock. I want us to look at the next receipt. It's a receipt for 1,000 naira, dated 8th of August, 1996. 1,000 naira. I invested 1,000 naira to buy shares. I will look at the next receipt. It's CSL Stockbrokers Limited, also in my name, dated 1996. It's a receipt for 11,000 naira. When I was preparing for this session, I just decided to go down memory lane and bring out this to show our young ones. There is nothing that is too small to save, to invest. When you go out on a Friday night and you spend 100,000 naira on a bottle of drink, my guy, you just consumed 3,000 units of Zenith Bank shares, just like that. That's why it just drank away. Do the math. Zenith Bank is trading at about 31 naira, and in a sitting, you just drank away 3,000 units. If instead of spending that 100,000 naira on that drink, you go and invest in stock, 20 years from today, you'll be looking at receipts like this. And that stock would have given you dividend year in, year out. Change your mentality. Of course, the next thing I want to talk about, time is definitely not our friend today. God, I have just 10 minutes to go. If you want to start a business, of course, you talk to family and friends. The first person you sell your business idea to is your spouse. If your spouse does not believe in the business you want to do, then you have a very long way to go. Then there is equity, venture capital. You can sell shares to people. I was excited when Mr. Julian talked about venture capital can be very, very expensive. Because not only will they give you money, they want to play an active role in running the business. And if you're not careful, you're one step away from losing your business. But again, it's a source of fund. Another one is grants, SME funds. We all know of the Tony Elumelu Foundation funds that give people grants to start businesses. Number 3, understand your business environment. What factors directly impact your company operations, performance, and competitiveness? Identify and monitor threats that could put your business model at risk. Understand your business environment. In understanding your business environment, you must ask yourself, what are the things that are likely to disrupt your business? Because you see, businesses are not a one-year thing. When you leave your job to start a business, you don't want to run the business for 1 year. You don't want to run it for 2 years. You want to run your business for 30 years, 40 years, 100 years. But the way we ran the business 20 years ago, it's not the way we ran it 10 years ago, it's not the way we are running it now, and it's definitely not the way we're going to run it 10 years from today. The only thing that is constant is change. And most importantly, is disruption. There's a Harvard professor is passed on now, Professor Clay Christensen, that I like his writing so much. He's the man who propounded the theory of disruptive innovation. What is going to disrupt your business? I've run Reno now for 27 years. When we started Rain Oil, one product called LPFO, low pore fuel oil. Low pore fuel oil accounted for the bulk of our business, accounted for like 70% of our revenue. One day, around the year 2000, 2001, I was driving on Akran, and I saw that people had dug up the side of the road and laid a lot of pipes on the side of the road. And I called my brother, I said, what are those pipes for? He said they are piping gas to the industrial companies. What are they going to do with the gas? He said they are going to fire their boilers with the gas. I said, oh, that means they won't buy our LPFO again. I got to the office, I called my people, I said, LPFO is an endangered business. Let's start moving into retail. By then, we had only 2 petrol stations in the whole country. Between then and now, we've grown our retail stations from only 2 to 200 petrol stations today. And you know what? Between then and now, LPFO that accounted for maybe 60% of our revenue, in the last 10 years, LPFO has accounted for 0% of our revenue, even though our revenue has grown multiple times. You have to be sensitive to what is happening around you. Same with LPG, what we call gas. Between 2011 and 2015, for those of us in the downstream sector of the Nigeria oil and gas industry, a product called DPK, dual purpose kerosene, was the bread and butter of the business. Everybody wanted DPK. Everybody wanted DPK. But by 2015, I saw the demand for DPK begin to slide down and the demand for LPG begin to ramp up. I called my team, I said, DPK is an endangered product. Let's begin to change. By 2017, we have started building an 8,000 metric ton LPG facility in Ijebu in Lagos. By 2020, we have commissioned our LPG facility in Ijebu, Lagos. 4 years afterwards, we are firmly in the gas space. So now everybody is talking about gas. Gas is the way to go. Guy, we identified it 7 years ago, and we took steps to get into that space. What is disrupting your business? You must ask yourself. The same way, I travel abroad. When I go to a city like Houston, 10 years ago, I could count the number of electric cars on the road. Maybe 1 out of every 20 cars that pass is an EV. But now you go abroad, it's like 1 out of every 4 cars that pass is an EV vehicle. EV is disrupting petrol-powered vehicles. We may be in Nigeria and think that we are insulated. We are not. We are part of the world system because to start with, we don't produce any cars of our own. So whatever is happening there, that disruption is going to get here. And we need to, from today, begin to prepare for that disruption because you don't want to be caught unawares. You need to work very hard. You need to have grit. You need to have the work culture. There's what I call the work culture. If you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, you need the work culture. You know, when I started Rain Oil, I've shared the story so many times. I needed money for just 1 truck of AGO. But the challenge was that when I supplied that 1 truck of AGO, I needed to wait for like 2 weeks to get paid. Because if I don't get paid, I can't do the next transaction. So I had a lot of what I would call idle times in between. But I had an office. I was in my office 8 a.m. every day. I would go to the office, I would open my door, I will sit down, then I will get up, I will lock the door, and I will go out. Work starts at 8. If I get to the office at 8:30, I'll say, Gabriel, you're late. Gabriel, you're late. The fact that you're the owner of the business is no license not to go to work. You have to develop the work culture. Then you have to be very hardworking. You need a strong work ethic. Ensure that these values are ingrained within the company staff and business practices. Regularly evaluate and improve your business practices and values. Empower employees to contribute to innovation and problem solving. You need to be very hardworking. Let me share this story, even though time is not on our side today. Starting from when I was in paid employment, when I was still working for Ascom Oil, I used to supply a lot of petroleum products to Nestle PLC, Nestle Nigeria PLC in Agbara. And then we take trucks to Agbara. I used to go with the truck myself. Maybe we'll get to Agbara around 5 or 6 p.m. It's going to take like 2 or 3 hours to discharge the truck. And I will sit down there while they are discharging the truck. By the boiler house, I still remember, there was this 4-legged wooden stool with a flat top, if you know those kind of stools. I would just sit there very quietly while they are discharging the product. Around 8 p.m., the gentleman who used to discharge the product, his name is Obukata. Obukata will look at me and say, Gabriel, go home. I say, no, how can I go home? You want me to go home so that you give me shortage? I'm not going anywhere. Let me digress a bit. The downstream oil and gas business is a high turnover, low margin business. The turnover is high, the margin is low. So, when you supply 30,000 liters of AGO, for example, just follow my train of thought. 29,000 liters can be cost. Your entire margin is 1,000 liters. So you can't start talking of margin if your product is not complete. So you must ensure that you don't have shortage. Because if they give you shortage of 500 liters, you may think that you've lost 500 liters out of 30,000 liters, which is really not material. But the truth is you've lost 500 liters out of 1,000 liters. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So it's very important you keep your eye on the board. So I will stay. Maybe by 9 p.m. they finish discharging, they will sign my way bill, and then 9 p.m. I will leave Agbara and start driving back to my home in Egbeda then. So when I started Rain Oil, I carried that same work culture, that same hard work. When I got an order, remember I got an order from Liver Brothers to supply them in Agbara. I was alone then. I left my house 5:30 in the morning in Egbeda, drove to Mosimi, hired a truck, loaded it, drove behind this truck from Mosimi to Ikorodu to Ketu Ojota, my 12, to Antonio Oshodi, my 2, and then the long stretch to Agbara. Got there around 5 p.m., sat down, they discharged my truck, and then I went home, maybe got home around 10 or 11 p.m. on a Saturday. I kept my eye on the ball. If you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, you must learn to follow through. Keep your eye on the ball. Don't make assumptions. You make assumptions and you leave, you come back the next day, you hear story. Now, talking about Liver Brothers. Liver Brothers, then, these days they call themselves Unilever. But then, it used to be Liver Brothers Nigeria PLC. They were at 15 Dockyard Road, Apapa, the same place where NIPCO is today. I remember I was chasing Liver Brothers. I needed their order. They had a purchasing manager. For argument's sake, I will call him Mr. P. P for procurement. I marketed this man. The man didn't agree. The man no send me. So what was I going to do? So I re-strategized. My time is up, but I hope I can get 5 minutes. I re-strategized. So this day I left my house 5:30 in the morning. I got to Liver Brothers before 7 a.m. They had these factory workers that would just enter the factory like a hare. I just joined the crowd and slid into the premises as if I was a factory worker. And promptly I went to the procurement floor. I was the first person to get to the procurement floor. I wasn't a staff, but I was the first person to get there. I waited. A few moments later, the logistics director, a gentleman called Tuyi Ehindero, Tuyi came in. I watched him. He entered his office. I gave him a little time, and I went to tap on his door. Yes, what can I do for you? I said, I want to supply LPFO to Liver Brothers. My pricing was good. My payment terms was good. Liver Brothers needed the product. So why not? So he called the procurement man. The same procurement man I've been talking to all along. I said, go and give Rain Oil LPO for 2 trucks of. That one just looked on incredulously. It's like, what's going on here? I got the order. I did the supply. 2 weeks later, I came back. They paid me. I was excited. I collected my check. And then the man saw me smiling very broadly. Reno, have they paid you? I said, yes. He said, how far now? I said, okay, no far. Or this one, no far. What's your strategy? What's your strategy? You want to run a business successfully? You need a strategy. What's your strategy? Harvard Business School will teach you that a mediocre strategy, excellently executed, is better than a poor strategy, a great strategy, poorly executed. What's your strategy? You need to have a strategy, and then you need to execute that strategy diligently. In our early days, we were what you call then independent marketers. The downstream oil and gas sector is divided into the independent marketers and the major marketers. So Rain Oil was an independent marketer. We had 2 petrol stations in Lagos then, one in Agege, one in Ipaja. And we were getting far less fuel than we needed. The majors were getting far more fuel than they needed. So we re-strategized. So what we did, we branded one of our stations to one of the major marketers. And then we're getting fuel in the name of that station to feed all our stations in the network. And then we iterated that strategy. So we went to Kaduna, we got 2 stations. One Rain Oil, one the major marketer. We went to Asaba, we got 2 stations. One Rain Oil, one the major marketer. We went to Anambra, we got 2 stations. So we just iterated that strategy. And you know what? On the back of that strategy, we scaled massively between 2002 and 2011 when we built our own depot. What is your strategy? You must have a strategy. My time is up. I need to quickly close. You need to establish an optimum business structure, because when you start a business, from day one, you are the MD, you're the operations manager, you're the accountant, you're the head, you're everything rolled into one. And then you begin to bring people and quietly begin to cede responsibilities to them. You need to establish an optimum business strategy. Then you need to be present. Know your key stakeholders, your financials, your regulators, your customers, your team, and everything. And then build the right mindset about money. You're only in business if you're able to make profit. You're only in business if you can preserve your profit, your liquidity, and then keep your earnings in the business, reinvest your earnings in the business. Most importantly, build resilience. You need to build resilience. Why do you need to build resilience? You need to build resilience because shocks will come. When those shocks come, are you able to withstand the shocks? When you earn money, when you make money, keep money in the business so that it's like building a buffer around you. So that when those waves come and they hit on you and they buffet you, are you able to withstand it? The economy has gone through a lot of shock, FX devaluation in the last 1 year or so. The companies that will come out of it are those companies which over the years have built resilience within them to be able to withstand shock. And then in closing, I will quote the founder of Chuck E. Cheese. He said, the critical ingredient is getting off your butt and doing something. It's as simple as that. A lot of people have ideas, but there are few who decide to do something about them. It's not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Do something about it, and it will be well with each and every one of you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
A round of applause, please. Let's keep. It's so powerful to hear how Dr. Ogweche remembers these things. From the 1990s, everything's still fresh in his memory. Thank you so much, sir, for digging deep to share with us from that very practical standpoint. You might be seated, please. You may be seated. Thank you so much. Please just celebrate yourselves. You know this, and I think it's actually very, very cool weather out there. So you could have actually been on your bed, right? Having a really relaxing day. So it's really, really wonderful that we're all here. But I want to, just before we round up, to celebrate, you know, two sets of people. First, this is your first time physically at the platform. Your first time, just show of hands, and maybe just stand up so we can record. Wow, you're actually, but just stand up, celebrate yourselves, and let us celebrate you. Amazing, wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. Amazing, first time since 2007, fantastic. Please celebrate yourselves once more as you sit down. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sure some of you have come from different parts of Lagos or even outside Lagos. I hear there's somebody who's sitting right there who was at home and watching and said, this thing is getting too hot, and left his house and came. So that is actually a very, very wonderful story to tell. But the second set of people I'd like to recognize, they are people who are still in school, not university, primary school and secondary school, who have come here today to hear, to see. Would you just stand up? If you're in secondary school, you're in primary